Does seem silly, but when the head of the English department says come, we go.
Oh, yes, come in, come in. Sit down, won't you? You know, Michael, when I was your age, I, too, was the campus rebel. Therefore, I think you should know that any excuse you can offer me now, I probably used 45 years ago. It didn't work then, and I regret to say I cannot allow it to work now.
Yes, sir.
You both look pretty grim. What's happened?
Michael has written another of his fiery editorials. This is the college literary magazine, which comes out tomorrow. Perhaps to save time, one of us should read it loud. Sit down. When this so-called university forces such men out of its faculty as Professor Kennedy, Professor Sykes, and Professor Chapman, because they've been ignorantly called Reds, it surrenders its right to be called a seat of learning. It admits that it is nothing more nor less than a training school for bond salesmen, farmers, real estate dealers, and ambulance chasers. It announces to the world that its faculty is subservient.
I didn't mean you, of course, Dr. Damon.
That its faculty is subservient to its trustees, and that its trustees represent a political viewpoint which must finally emerge under its proper name, which is fascism.
Oh, Michael, there you go again.
Yes, well, wait till you hear where he's actually gone. Those professors were not Reds. They were distinguished liberals. Let us thank God that we still have one man left who is going ahead teaching what he believes should be taught.
Who's that?
You read it, Thomas.
He's not afraid to bring up even the Sacco-Vanzetti case. He's going to read to his classes on the same day Vanzetti's last statement and Lincoln's letter to Mrs. Bixby.
I do hope we're not alienating the many friends of Abraham Lincoln.
The hounds of bigotry and reaction will, of course, be set upon the trail of this courageous teacher, but they will find him brave as a tigress. Is that a misprint, Michael?
Oh, yes, sir.
Our hats are off to Professor Thomas Turner of the English department.
That's all.
Tommy?
I think you might have consulted me about this, Michael.
Oh, Michael, you fool. They'll kick you out of school for this, and Tommy, too.
I'm not going to ask you in. You just have to hang there with the rest of the roses.
Well, I'm sorry, but... Quiet, Pat. You never told me you were going to bring up the Sacco-Vanzetti case in your classes, Tommy.
Why were you going to read this letter, Thomas?
Because it's a fine example of English composition, and I'm teaching a class in English composition. It's an obscure little class. I don't want publicity, Michael. I told this to you as a friend, not as an editor. I just want to be let alone.
You don't want to get Tommy kicked out of school, do you, Michael?
No, I didn't think of that. I just thought that Mr. Turner was about the only man we had left who'd read whatever he wanted to his classes. I thought that he was the only man who'd stand up to these stadium builders.
I'm not standing up to anyone, Michael. I'm not challenging anyone. This is just an innocent little piece I wanted to read.
Hello, yes?
Hello. Doc Damon, Ed Keller.
How are you?
Listen, I just came out of a trustees meeting. You remember those 3 Reds we bounced off the faculty a couple of months ago? Well, we just turned down their appeal. Can't afford to have any radicals around here. We're still paying for their new stadium.
That's too bad.
What's that? What do you mean it's too bad?
I mean, too bad you haven't paid for the stadium.
Oh, sorry. Guess I don't hear so good over the phone. Look, this is why I called you up. We're making a cleanup. I'm calling the heads of all departments. Be on the lookout for Reds. We'll kick them so far it'll take the B-19 3 weeks to fly them back. Can't find the Reds? Get after the Pinks.
What shade shall I stop at?
Stop at nothing. Doggone it, here I'm preparing for a fine, dignified weekend. I gotta worry about Reds. Got me all upset. Gotta take something for my nerves. All right, Damon. Goodbye. And remember what I told you.
Goodbye, Mr. Keller. I suppose you heard every word.
Down to the last drop.
Don't you see, Tommy? No, especially you can't read that letter. Michael, you just have to change that editorial.
I can't. The magazines will run off the presses